Ladies and gentlemen, a very good evening to you all. To begin with, I would like to thank the Commandant NDA, the Deputy Commandant, Rear Admiral Anand Iyer, PSM, the administration of the Academy, and everybody associated with the Academy for inviting me to the Academy and giving me this wonderful opportunity of interacting with you all. Now, to begin with, to be able to connect with you better, it has been about 18 years or 20 years when I was back here. So to connect with you better, as has been mentioned, I am a lion from the 86th Force. Now, whenever I mention to somebody, my squadron, that I am from Lion Squadron, they usually give me a smile, that smirk of a smile. I wonder why. Although I know why, but just like any other lion, I don't care. And back in those days also we used to say the Academy is a jungle. And in a jungle, who would mind being a lion? Now that makes it sure that if not the whole Academy, at least a few people are definitely scared of lion squadron. Coming to the next point, I was in the class 1, I was the only opti non-techie from my course. And I was a low 4-pointer when I joined the Academy. And I passed off as a high 4-pointer. So which was not a very remarkable improvement, so to say. It may not seem like that, but it was only because I discovered the use of some color pencils and highlighters. So that's where I start. Now coming to the story, my title for today, Positive and Positive. Now usually we use the term positive and negative, but I feel there is nothing as negative. If there are losses and setbacks, if there are failures, if there are betrayals, if there are letdowns, whatever it be, everything can be used as a positive energy. Everything is only a positive. It can only be a reason to motivate you and to move forward in life. So I start from there. Now, when I was a small boy, I was not very good in studies. I was the so-called weak student. My handwriting was pathetic. And I was not good in sports. Children used to fight with each other that we don't want Naveen in our team. So, what that means is frustration. I was frustrated. But I use it, the ridicule, I use it as a motivation for myself. That I'll work hard and I'll try to be better. And I discovered ways how I could be better. 7, 8 years down the line, then children used to fight that if you want Naveen in your team, we want 2 players in return. So I thought about that kind of a change. Now that kind of a change or any kind of a change in fact, I always believe that it takes at least 7 to 8 years of hard work. You have to consistently work in any direction for at least 8 years to succeed in that field. And you can do that much of hard work only if you thoroughly enjoy doing it. That is important. Now when I was in my 7th or 8th standard, my martial arts instructor told me one thing. If you want to improve, work in the direction which is the toughest. And during the course of my life, that is the lesson which I discovered. That if at any point in your life you are faced with a number of options, always choose the toughest one. That is what will make your life different from others. And that is the best choice you can make. Now, I used to love playing football. I played different sports at different levels. And I believe life is very much like football. You run, you take off at high speed, you suddenly stop, you suddenly turn around, you dribble around obstacles, you head to a goal. And that is exactly what life is. Football teaches you to rule inertia. And whatever I have learned, I might not be an Olympian, but whatever I have learned in my life is basically from sports. You always focus on success. Yes, failures can happen at times, but I don't prepare for failures. When failures happen, they will have to take care of themselves. I only look at success and I only see how I can succeed. Even if I am 4 goals down, I am only looking at how I can get back from there. Recently, I was giving a talk to the Indian hockey team just before their Olympic qualifiers. And they were asking me this question, that every time we end up scoring 2-3 goals in the first half, and in the second half we end up losing. How does that happen? So I told them, see, you score 2-3 goals in the first half, you have 2-3 goals in your pocket. Then after that you are scared that you will lose those goals. So you start playing defensively. You want to just pass through the match. So fear comes inside you. Whereas the opponent team, they have got 2-3 goals against them. So they say, as it is we are losing, at least let's play. So they lose their fear and you get the fear. And whenever fear comes in, you will lose. Fear of failure is the prime reason of failure. Sometimes people ask me that, okay, we do everything positively, but we can still lose. Then what? I say, then it's not my problem. If after doing everything positively I lose, that is not my problem. So that was one. Second thing I told them, see, whatever team is facing me, whether the number 1 and the number 2 teams in the world are Australia and Germany, which are considered far superior to the Indian hockey team currently. So I say, if I am playing such team which is far superior to me, I am not bothered how superior they are to me. That is not of any concern to me. Don't tell me that they are superior to me. Tell me that 1% chance which I have of beating them. I want that 1% chance. That one way in which I can beat them. You tell me that one way. Don't tell me how superior they are. That is how I will look at my opponent. Next, that I don't believe in nail-biting thrillers. Nail-biting thrillers, I don't believe in them. If you want to win, you have to win by a vast margin. If you can win by 2 goals, try to win by 4 goals. If you can win by 4 goals, try to win by 6 goals. Always try to increase the margin. So, in that particular qualifiers, the entire tournament, they won by 7-1, 8-1. And Sandeep Singh, who gifted me his t-shirt as well, he had made a target of 12 goals, which was very high for one tournament. And he ended up scoring 16. So it all went there. But again, there is a very important thing about motivation. We have to continuously work on it. It is not like a switch that you will switch on one day and become a positive and motivated person. You have to involve everything positive around you. Positive thoughts, positive actions, positive behavior, positive people, positive activities. You have to continuously work on it. It cannot come all of a sudden. And you have to continuously work at it. So, those are the lessons which I learned from sports. And then definitely I was in about 9th standard. I used to run about 5-6 kilometers every day, and I used to exercise for 1 hour. And then one day I started having breathing problems. So I had severe breathing problem and I was not able to run. I went to the doctor, and doctor made me sit next to him. He was very sympathetic. He explained to me very nicely. He said, son, sports is not meant for you. Don't play sports. You will not be able to ever build a career in sports. You have to give up sports, because a person with this problem cannot play sports. And well, from next day I started running double the distance. So what the lesson we have from this is that during your life, a lot of times other people will try to decide what you'll be able to do in life. They'll say probably you'll be able to achieve this much, or probably you'll be able to do this much. So never allow other people to define your life. What you will be able to achieve in your life or not achieve in your life is to be decided by you, not by anybody else. That also reminds me of an important line from the poem If. And in fact, from that entire poem, I only remember 2 lines. One was, if you can trust yourself, then all men doubt you. And second line is, you'll be a man, my son. So, if you can trust yourself, then all men doubt you, because invariably, undoubtedly, whenever you take decisions, whenever you try to do something, people will doubt you. You have to trust yourself. It's most important to learn that. The second line which comes immediately after is not that important. First you have to learn to trust yourself. And you will be a man, my son, is not a man by gender, but a man by character. That is what you have to be. When I joined the National Defence Academy, that was in June 91. And I was the first cadet to join my squadron. And my seniors who were present in the squadron at that time, the academy hadn't arrived. They asked me which corps would you like to join, which arm would you like to join. And I said I would like to join para commandos. So they all laughed. They said 2-3 days of training and you'll change your mind. And the same thing was told to me repeatedly during 4 years of my training. Just 2 days before my injury, I had walked up to my deputy my adjutant And who was from the para, then I told him, sir, I want to join the para commandos. So during the 4 years of my training, I did not change my mind. Now, what is great about it is not that I wanted to join para commandos. That is not the great part. The great part, or something which I am proud of, is that I did not change my mind. That I stuck to my principles, I stuck to my dreams. Now, what is great about that? Sticking to your dreams or sticking to your principles. The thing is, whenever you make a compromise with your dreams or your decisions, you make yourself weak. Because after having compromised, you want things to be easy. And in life, things will never be easy. So you make yourself weak whenever you compromise with your decisions or with your dreams, or with your principles. That is the point about it. Now, of course, 3 years of training at NDA, 1 year at IMA, I discovered a lot of lessons. Once one gentleman cadet from IMA asked me this question: sir, do you think the training did this to you? Give you this confidence or this belief in yourself? I said, no. See, your school, your institution, it gives you an opportunity to learn. Whether you learn or not is up to you. The institution cannot force you to learn. Whether you pick it up from there or you don't pick it up from there, that is up to you. That's your job. So that's what you have to see. Now, 3 years of training, lot of funny incidents, lot of great incidents. Ex-NDAs can just go about those incidents, but maybe I can just tell you some lessons which I learned. One I discovered was that our body and our mind have infinite ability, and that is the concept in my book also. I say, our body and our mind has infinite ability. Our ability never restricts us. Our thoughts do. If we think we can, we can. If we think we cannot, we cannot. It sounds easy to say, good to hear, but to implement it, to prove it, that is the thing. Your only identity is the principles you stand by. That is your identity. If that is not there, you are nothing. So, this was one lesson I discovered during my days of training at NDA. As for funny incidents, till the time I joined NDA, I had never heard singing, music. I never used to hear. And then when I came to the academy, everybody was playing music, and I heard music for the first time. I liked it, and I started singing. And when I started singing, everybody used to run away. I used to wonder why. Then one fine day, I recorded my voice and I heard it, and I also ran away. So, but one of my postmates was a classical singer, and he motivated me. He said, you keep singing, your voice will improve. And the good thing about singing is, whether other people enjoy or not, you definitely are going to enjoy. So, and that's one. And let me move ahead. What I learned during my days of training and in the army training also was that if you think your enemy can attack you from 3 possible directions, your enemy will attack you from the 4th one. And the same is true about life also. You will not get the battles to fight of your choice, but the battles you get to fight are the battles you will have to fight. So same is true with life. I was preparing for something different, but I had completed all my PD tests, academic tests, everything was over. Children's camp was also over. Just the POP was left and this OT competition. And I was the captain of the team. And on that day, as a matter of chance, I met with this accident and I was completely paralyzed, not being able to breathe, not being able to move my head at all, not being able to speak. And it was as if my body did not exist. And I closed my eyes and I thought, doctors had said that if he survives for 3 days, he may live. But again, over the years, I have trained myself to not believe in what I hear, but believe in myself. I am going to determine whether I am going to live or not. And I am going to determine whether I am going to succeed or not. So it did not affect me. I was calm in my mind. That was another important lesson I have learned in my life. The tougher the situation, the more calm you have to be. You cannot be instigated. You cannot be out of control. You have to be as calm as possible if you want to handle the situation. So I was calm. I just closed my eyes and I imagined myself walking with a heavy load on my shoulders. And through the night I just kept walking in my mind. And that 1 day passed, 2 days passed, 3 days passed, and I moved on from there. Now, to say beginning from a scratch, if that is the phrase, then maybe it was as little a scratch as one can go to. I was in a condition which was even worse than the time when I was born, and I was to start back from there. But I did. I was focusing only on succeeding from there. And it is irrespective of the results. I'm not worried about the results, whether I'll be able to succeed or whether not. I'm just focusing at what I want to do immediately. Now, I spent about 2 years in the hospital, completely tied down, and in that situation, I was not able to move. Time passing was very difficult. I was in an intensive care unit in the Delhi's Army Hospital, and people used to die left, right of me every day. I was the only speaking person in that ward who could possibly speak a little. And so I wondered what to work on. So I thought maybe I'm in this condition now, I'll not be able to do anything physically. So let me work on my mind. And I started counting the beat of some life support device. And I used to count till 1600 and then reverse count to 0. Then I started multiplying 2-digit numbers. Then I started multiplying 3-digit numbers. And then later on I started playing virtual chess in my mind. So that brings me to an important lesson. You know, I say there is only one law which governs this world. And that law is Darwin's law. Darwin's law is what? Survival of fittest. But people misinterpret it. Fittest are not the people who are very strong or who are very intelligent. Fittest are the people who can adapt to changing circumstances. Things will always change. You ask any cadet, how's the academy, and he will say, the academy is changing. That is a standard answer. So change will always happen. Change is a way of life. Only those survive who can adapt to the changes. And at times in your life, you will have to adapt very fast in order to survive. And that's the only choice you have. Against the law of life, I was giving a talk to the soldiers of Rajputana Rifles. And I said, तुम फौज का कानून तोड़ दो तो शायद बच सकते हो, देश का कानून तोड़ दो तो शायद बच सकते हो, लेकिन तुम अगर जिंदगी का कानून तोड़ोगे तो नहीं बच सकते. There is no argument against that law. That law always applies. If you don't adapt, dinosaurs will not survive. So how can you? So you have to adapt to changing circumstances if you want to survive. Life will always give you only one choice: prevail or perish. So I adapted to that. I spent about 2 years in the hospital, and during that I did a computer course, scoring 99% marks in that, topping that course. Later on, I joined the master's degree. I had to clear another entrance exam, and in this entrance exam, I could not use a pen and paper because I could not write with my hand. I could not hold a pen. I had to do the entire calculation in my mind. But during those 2 years that I had trained myself in the hospital, I was able to clear that. And I did my master's degree when I could not actually take notes. I had to memorize whatever was being taught in the class. That again I cleared in first class. So being always into sports, and now I was going into academics. That was a change. But the important thing is, in my life, whenever something came across me, like we keep reading stories and I hear people say, they say, oh, I would not have been able to do this. I said, never say that. Never say I will not be able to do. There is nothing you will not be able to do. If the opportunity arises, you can do anything. And that's what I always believed in. So after that, I taught computers for some time as well. Now gradually, see what I said. Our ability does not stop us. Only our thoughts do. And the same applies to me also. Whenever I have been stopped in my life, I have only been stopped because I thought I will not be able to do. I was thinking that being in this condition, I will not be able to pursue something in adventure sports or in physical sports achievements. But then I started working on it again. And I got a very old Maruti 800 car, an 18-year-old car, and I started modifying it myself. I modified the car and I started driving to the mountain passes myself. Initially, of course, I was driving to the city. Then I started driving to the highest mountain passes. It was a time when I would have died, people would not have come to know. It was just my individual expeditions I was just doing for my own sake. Then in 2004, I got this opportunity which came across me. The important thing is I hear people complaining. You know, people say that others don't have faith in me. You know, what amount of faith others will have in you will always depend upon what amount of faith you have in yourself. That's the main criteria. During my this period of driving all over the country in remotest of areas, I have had a group of people running towards me with swords in their hand, wanting to kill me. I've had highway robbers, but I've been able to handle all those situations only because of my confidence in myself. So when you have faith in yourself, when I am in a car, I am talking to somebody who's being aggressive towards me. That person feels that if this person gets down, he is going to back me up. So that's the kind of confidence I carry. And what faith people will have in you will always depend upon what faith you have in yourself, how much belief you have in yourself. And when I approached the companies and for sponsorship of my expedition, I was selected by the Tatas for sponsoring my expedition. It was because the kind of faith I had in myself, the kind of confidence I had. So that person was confident that nobody else will be able to do it, but Naveen definitely will be able to do it. Now, how this expedition worked out was that I wanted to achieve something which was considered impossible. Because okay, I had always been quoting infinite ability. It's good to hear, but I had to prove it as well that I could do it. So I wanted to do something which was considered impossible. I thought of driving from New Delhi to Khardungla, which is the highest metal road in the world, non-stop. People take about 3-4 days to reach there. So reaching there non-stop was 3-4 days. Somebody who's been very adventurous might be able to reach in 3-4 days. So I decided to drive to that place non-stop. Now this would be considered impossible by anyone, but I knew I could do it. I knew it was possible. Now when I called the record books, they told me that if you want to go to the highest mountain pass, there is another mountain pass which is called Marcinek. You will have to go there. And when I tried to find out information about that mountain pass, it was considered the toughest all-terrain driving in the world. It does not even have a road. Some dirt tracks are there, that's all. So, and it is such a challenge that people go to Leh Ladakh, they prepare to climb that road, make preparations for some days, and then also they are not able to climb. And now I was to go from Delhi to the top of Marcinek, non-stop. So the target became impossible for me also. It was definitely seeming impossible for me. But again the same thing, you will not get situations and conditions on your terms in life, but you will have to deal with them on your terms. So this was my choice, and this was what I was going to go ahead with. And having started with a crew of 7 members, I drove in a Tata Safari. During the expedition, 3 people were evacuated. And on the way, whenever I plan for something, I plan with definite success. You have to plan, you have to make your success definite. Success, I say, is not a probability. It should never be that, okay, we are playing, let me see, maybe I can succeed. Success is a decision you make. It should be a decision. You have decided to succeed. And that was my decision. So I reached the top of that mountain pass after 55 hours of non-stop driving, and it was entered into the record books. So besides, I never leave a chance in life. Whenever I get an opportunity to do something, I go ahead and do that thing. Whether it was during my training at IMA itself, I had done my para course, I had done rock climbing, whatever during my holidays itself, I had done that. The point about doing everything whenever you get your chance to do it, you go ahead and do it. And the good thing about that is you never regret later. Life has to go sooner or later. This question was asked to me by the AU, which is an equivalent of ACC in the IMA. He had asked me this question, that's knowing well that we all have to end up the same way. What is the purpose of life? So I said, see, life is like a 500 rupee note. You spend it, you can buy something worthwhile with it. If you keep it in your pocket, it is a piece of paper, worthless. So life has to go sooner or later. That is not an important question, important point. You cannot avoid that. What is important is what you do in the meantime. So it's better, always better to go ahead and do it. Now, people talk about taking risk, being adventurous. Why take risk? I say when you are taking risk, when you are taking a chance, you may win or you may lose. But if you play safe, you have chosen to lose. You have preferred to lose. So it's always better to take your chances when you have. So I did micro light flying, power hang gliding when I got a chance. In fact, somebody called me up and said, "Would you like to walk the ramp in modeling?" I said, "Why not? Go ahead with it." My default answer always is yes. I say yes and then think later. So that's my story regarding that. Now, similarly, being adventurous sometimes, puts you in funny situations also. So whenever I was given a challenging task or something challenging came in front of me, that was the thing which made me motivated me to do that. And someone ended up saying in front of me, Malayalam is a very tough language, you cannot learn it. I said, is it? Let me see if I can learn it or not. Now Malayalam is very difficult to learn as far as the pronunciation goes. And I thought I had learned it quite a bit. And I wanted to impress this girl. I was sitting with a chessboard in front of me and I wanted to ask her, will you play with me? And what I was supposed to say was ended with a kalikumo. Instead of that, I ended up saying something which was very similar in sound, but which meant, will you have baths with me? So, usually when I tell people this incident, they ask me, then what happened? I said, what? He said, no. And so there's been, but I always used to try and learn the local language wherever I was, until somebody actually told me, I discovered it, one of the sailor friends of mine, he told me, the local girls, they don't like if you speak their language. They like you more foreign. So even if you know their language, tell them you don't know their language. Tumhala Marathi yete, पण त्याला सांगू नको. Only don't tell that you know Marathi, okay? It's important. And that's one thing. Now, after I had completed this expedition, all my friends told me, because a lot of TV channels were covering me, and they said, come out with a book, come out with a book. This is the time to come out with a book. I said, no, I believe in substance. These days, it is, people start believing in presentation more or marketing themselves more. But I have always believed that it is more important to be a person of substance. Marketing yourself, projecting yourself, or promoting yourself can get you small benefits. But unless you are a person of substance, you cannot succeed. If BJP wants a Prime Minister, they want Atal Bihari Vajpayee. If Congress wants a Prime Minister, they want Manmohan Singh. If the anti-corruption movement wants somebody, they want Anna Hazare. They always want a person of substance. So if you actually have to succeed in your life, you have to be a person of substance. So what's the substance in it? And if I want to write a book, there should be substance in it. And only then I'll write. Otherwise, if I don't write a book, nothing great is going to happen. So it took me about 8 years to write that book. And when I was convinced that I have written a book which is sheer joy to read, then only I went ahead with it. As for my social work, I have always believed in one thing: we are all soldiers first. We have to be a good soldier. And the society needs soldiers more. There is a battle to be fought in the society. I wanted to fight a particular battle, but I did not get to fight that. But then I was pulled from there, and God put me in a situation where He said, okay, this is your battle, fight this. So Mahatma Gandhi had said that, the progress of a society can be gauged from the condition of its most weak and most vulnerable. So the most weak and the most vulnerable are the underprivileged children, the street children, the beggar children. And I thought I would want to do something about it. And I started an effort in 2005, which is called Apni Duniya Apna Ashana, and last 7-8 years it has been going on. Now, a lot of youngsters come to me. They say, we also want to do this kind of work. So I said, good, let's start. Then they said, I also want the kind of recognition you have got. I said, there it is wrong. If you aim for recognition, you will never be able to get it. If you do your work good, you will get there anyhow. Doing your work, focusing on your work, that is more important. If you aim for rewards, then you will not get them. There are more chances you will not get them. So our focus should always be on work. Like they say, Karmanye Vadhika Raste Ma Phaleshu Tadajan. Karam karo phal ki ichha na karo. That is a wrong meaning. I saw that shloka and I said, this is not the translation. If you say कर्म करो फल की इच्छा ना करो, इसकी संस्कृत कुछ और बनती है, ये संस्कृत नहीं बनती इसकी. So I found out the meaning. The meaning is karmani eva adhikara te. Work is your only right. The fruit is not your right. He is not telling you not to desire. Desire as much as you want, but it is not your right. And that is the truth of life. If you can focus on work, and in the very second line he says that knowing this, it should not happen that you lose interest in work. That since the fruit is not my desire, my right, then why should I work? That should not happen. So if you can work irrespective of the results, that is the dedication. And then it does not matter whether you succeed. There are more chances you will succeed, but it does not matter even if you don't succeed. So that is the kind of motivation you should have. Sometimes people tell me, the battle you have chosen to fight is very difficult. It is impossible. This battle cannot be won. The society cannot be changed. Things cannot change. I say, this battle might be impossible, but this is the battle I want to fight. I may know that I am going to lose, but I will still fight this battle. I rather fight this battle than fight some battle which I even don't want to fight. So that's my choice. I work irrespective. Irrespective is the biggest and the most important quote in my life. I always keep that written in front of me on the study table. That irrespective of whatever happens, I will always go on. Whether it is betrayals, losses, whatever, I will always go on. And that's what I've done. Now, I write in about 3 languages, English, Hindi and Urdu. And maybe I'll recite one Hindi poem of mine. It goes something like this. Its title is Pehchan. न करे विचलित मुश्किल न जिसको झुकाए, हार जिससे हार गई सोचे बहुत उपाय, वीर उसको जानिए जो हर संकट हार जाए। विवेक को अपनी शक्ति बना संयम को कर प्रबल, विकट स्थिति में रह अपने असूलों पर तू अडिग अचल। जो डगमगा गया अपनी कर्म भूमि पर, वो इंसान ही क्या कहलाएगा। जो चलता रहा तूफानों में, अपनी मंजिल को अंत में वो ही तो पाएगा। संकट जिसकी शक्ति बने आंधी न जिसको हिलाए, संकट जिसकी शक्ति बने आंधी न जिसको हिलाए, हार जिससे हार गई सोचे बहुत उपाय, वीर उसको जानिए जो हर संकट हार जाए। जज्बा जोश जुनून जतन ये जो मेरी पहचान है, जज्बा जोश जुनून जतन ये जो तेरी पहचान है, वो इंसान ही क्या जिसे अपने होने पर नहीं अभिमान है। 4 दिन आगे 4 दिन पीछे हर कोई मिट्टी में मिल जाएगा, 4 दिन में जो कर गया कुछ वो ही तो महान कहलाएगा। न करे विचलित मुश्किल न जिसको झुकाए, हार जिससे हार गई सोचे बहुत उपाय, वीर उसको जानिए जो हर संकट हार जाए। So that's the poem. Now when I was addressing this group and there was one American student, he asked a very valid question. He said, whatever you have told us, we all know this. Whatever points I have told you, you all know that. The point is we are not able to follow it. How that happens? Why does that happen? So the thing is, you spend a lot of time thinking of so many things during the day, doing so many things. But the important lessons in life, how much time do we spend remembering them? Nothing at all. We don't work on it. There is this story which I read long back in Reader's Digest. It's about an Olympic ice skating athlete. His name was Dan Jensen. He always held the world record in 5,000 meters, but he was never able to get an Olympic gold medal. Now it was his 4th Olympics and probably his last. Because for an athlete, 4 Olympics is the maximum they can take part in. And in the last Olympics also, on the final day, he slipped and fell. He was not able to get a gold in 5,000 meters. Now, he had also qualified for 10,000 meters, but that was not his favorite event, and he did not hold a world record in that. So he was not sure that in that he was going to get anything. That time his psychologist told him that next 4 days, you have 4 days of time with you. If in 4 days you can convince yourself that you can do equally well in 10,000 meters, you will be able to. Keep writing on a piece of paper, keep telling yourself, convince yourself that you can do equally well in 10,000 meters. And he did that, and on the final day, he made a world record in 10,000 meters and got a gold medal also. So when I read the story, and I thought I want to implement this in my life. And whenever I have implemented it, I have succeeded. It works. So you have to continuously build that belief in yourself. And it's like the story from the Mahabharata where, every time Karna used to say that I am the best. His Sarthi used to tell him, no, you are the best, but Arjun is like this. So the doubt was creeping in his mind. And on the opposite side, Arjun used to get disheartened and he was told that, no, you are the greatest, you are the best. And he again used to get the confidence in everything. So these things work. Like we used to try in NDA, that if you have a bout with somebody, you tell your friends to go and tell him how good a boxer you are. So it works. You have to always work on that. You have to remember those points. Whichever are the important points which I want to remember in my life, I always write them and keep them in front of my table so that I am always reminded about it. And that is an important lesson to remember. Now, that about brings me to the end of my talk. But to conclude, I would maybe recite one or two shares. One is about challenges in life, difficulties in life. The essence of life is in difficulties. ऐ खुदा दे कुछ और तकलीफ मुझे, ऐ खुदा दे कुछ और तकलीफ मुझे, नई कोई चुनौती तो दे कि जिंदगी को और जीने को जी चाहता है। कुछ तो आंधियों को उठा, कुछ तूफान तो हो कि आसमानों को फिर छूने को जी चाहता है। Similarly, there is one share which a lot of youngsters have proposed to their girlfriends using this share. I know you cannot save it in your mobiles, don't you? Whenever I am reciting this in some college, just save it in their mobiles. But maybe you can remember it. So it goes something like this. अगर हमारे दिल की धड़कनों को महसूस कर सको तो कुछ बात है साथी, अगर हमारे दिल की धड़कनों को महसूस कर सको तो कुछ बात है साथी, वरना जिसे कह के जाहिर करना पड़े वो जज्बात ही क्या है। Concluding with my final share, it goes like, ऐसे रुखसत हुए हमारे जनाजे से वो, ऐसे रुखसत हुए हमारे जनाजे से वो कि फिर मुड़ के नहीं देखा, फिर याद नहीं करते। नवीन ये इल्म नहीं उनको, हम जैसे आशिक मौत से मरा नहीं करते। Now to end it all, people tell me that you have achieved so much in your life, and I say, well, I'm just warming up, because it may sound proudy, but I say it is many times better to be proudy than to be, feel inferior about yourself. It's always better to be proudy. Because if you're proud of yourself, your conduct and behavior is always in accordance with the fact that you're proud of yourself. And you will by default be proud of everything else that you are associated with. And a proud man never gives up. So it's always important to be proud of yourself. So this is where my story ends. Maybe we can go over a presentation now, which has some random pictures about, so that you can connect to the story better. That is my NDA picture. I have very few pictures. I never clicked pictures in NDA. These are the pictures which were given to me by my course mates. That was only the one medal which I ever won. Next. Just a random picture from the drill competition. I could not resist the temptation of putting in some macho pictures. Next. Next. This is towards the end of my cross-country run in IMA, and my CSM was wondering how come I had the time to pose for a picture. Next. This is immediately after my injury. I had to spend this time in about 4 months I was in this condition, not being able to move at all. Next. But now I have never been sad in my life. Maybe I trained myself for that, maybe I'm made like that. I've never been sad in my life, except for once when my first girlfriend had left me. And I was sitting sad, and my senior asked me what happened. I said, sir, my girlfriend left me. And he said, don't worry, by the time people leave you, you will get used to it. And looking back, he was right. So this is one of the pictures in Jaisalmer. I have always been in love with life and passionate about life. This is something about handwriting that I did. This is a photograph in Leh, somewhere in Leh. Standing behind me is no girl, he is my student, Ankush. This is one of the mountain streams we have to drive through. I never look at reasons for not doing a thing. I always look at reasons for doing a thing. This is nearly on the top of Kharbungla. And this is a picture at the start of my expedition. This is Pangongsu Lake. Those of you who are in the army may get to see it. It is something very beautiful. Even people who have seen it, they say that if you have seen Pangongsu, your life is successful. So my vehicle was breaking down. 3 people had to be evacuated, but I continued and I reached the top. This is the record certificate. Standing behind me is Rajyavardhan Rathore, another ex-NDA, and in the same year we both were named People of the Year. That is the State Award for Adventure Sports. The Chief of Army Staff Commendation 2005. I'm actually the only person who got it 9 years after his retirement. National Role Model Award 2007 from APJ Abdul Kalam. Next. This is the organization that I run. It's a center in the village. That is again taking classes in the streets for beggar children. That is the cover of my book, In Quest of the Last Victory. The last victory is the victory over self, and that is the story of victory over self. This is the Honorable President unveiling my book. That's one of my childhood heroes. He has written the foreword for my book as well, Milkha Singh. I don't need to take his name, I think you know him. This photograph I usually put so that people can feel jealous of me. Next. This is on, there's some TV clippings, that's all. That is when I got the CNN Real Heroes Award. I did not know who they were, they all look alike. Later on I was told it is Jaunty Rhodes and Lance Cruiser. This is the Indian hockey team. That is the captain giving me the team colors. Sandeep Singh gifting me his t-shirt. I was able to impress the ladies with my shayari. That's Manisha Koyala and Jaswinda Nagla. And that is a photograph from Marlo. You can have the small video clip that I have of my experience.
To drive all the way up from Delhi to Ladakh, and Robert Houdino accompanied him on that ride. He has more details.
It's 2 in the morning right now, and we are going to embark on a very unique trip, a trip from Delhi to Marsimikla, the highest motorable pass in the world. And Naveen's going to take us there, so let's get going. With the destination such, it was for sure that we had to leave as early as possible to avoid the traffic and to get a head start on the hills. A tough drive by any standards. But what made it extra special was the man behind the wheel, ex-army man Naveen Gulia, who had discharged from the army 9 years ago. After an obstacle race mishap, injured his spine and left him completely paralyzed. His chariot in this case is a completely modified Tata Safari, where all controls including the clutch, accelerator and brakes are controlled by his hands. In fact, you would never be able to guess where the horn is. guys, Naveen was as charged up as when we started. We reached Manali around 5 p.m. and the daunting Rohtang Pass was up next.
सिचुएशन को देख के काफ़ी लोग कहते हैं कि ये तो मैं कर ही नहीं सकता या ये तो मैं कर ही नहीं पाता। मैं वो चीज़ कभी नहीं कहता किसी भी चीज़ के लिए। या तो मैं किसी चीज़ को जिस चीज़ को मैं करना चाहता हूँ उसको मैं डेफिनेटली कर लेता हूँ। तो मैं पहले से ही पॉजिटिव था और इंजरी लगने के बाद भी मेरे माइंड में कभी डाउट नहीं था कि मैं इस इंजरी से बाहर नहीं आ पाऊँगा। और जब मैंने मतलब पहले रिकवर किया, पहले तो मेरे लिए एक व्हीलचेयर में बैठ के व्हीलचेयर चलाना ही एक चैलेंज था। तो वहाँ से शुरू किया, पर मैंने ये नहीं सोचा कि मैं गाड़ी चला के यहाँ तक पहुँचूँगा एक दिन।
With bad weather to hinder our way, zero visibility made us proceed at a snail's pace. This was extremely tiring for Naveen.
It's 3 a.m. now and after 24 hours of non-stop driving, Naveen has taken his first pit stop. We anticipate being back on the road in 15 minutes. And with this new energy, our destination on hand does not seem far.
The next morning brought a new light of hope, as it was now evident that Mission Masamikla was there to be accomplished. It was a grueling drive up ahead, but Naveen was up for it. Driving in Karu Tangse in less than 5 hours, he was on schedule. However, what lay ahead was the toughest terrain yet, a dirt track through the Himalayas to reach a height of 18,634 feet. Triumph for Naveen came after 3 hours of this dirt track driving, but it was worth every single moment spent getting there.
It was mission impossible. And the person who travels it will know that it was mission impossible. When we have to do it, then we will and this is the moment of my lifetime. My life has become meaningful. I want to make a statement. If in your life you have not found something you can die for, your life is not worth living. After driving for more than 58 hours of rocky terrain and different kinds of weather, we have finally reached. This pass is 18,634 feet high, 334 feet higher than Mount Everest base camp. And that's the kind of intensity Naveen Gulia has gone through. We wish him all the best for his future endeavors.
We're going to take our second and last commercial break.
Well, although I have exhausted most of my English, but still if you have some questions, I would be glad to answer. Please. Any questions? Yes, please.
Good evening, sir. Graduate Kabur Alkuswan. Sir, even though we are motivated, there is a certain set level of motivation at which we get motivated and we are working for it. And beyond that motivation, we get exhausted and we start feeling that it is not worth doing.
Please be a little more clear. I can't hear. I can't understand.
Sir, in spite of being very much motivated by the outer means, we have a set level of motivation beyond which we often break down and we say, let's give up. It's not worth doing it. What basically drives you that you even work even when your motivation time is over?
See, it is how much passionate you are about your life. I'm very passionate about life. I mean, like I said, people ask me what inspires you. I say life inspires me. It is how much passionate you are about life, how much in love with your life you are. That is important. Most important part of your existence. It's not the suffixes and prefixes which will be added to your name. It's the first name you have. What you are. You are the most important thing. So to stay motivated under all conditions, that is the kind of passion you have to have. Actually they had edited the clip a little. That particular quote which I said is not by me but by Martin Luther King. That if you have not discovered the passion you can die for, your life is not worth living. It does not mean that you have to die. It basically means you have to have that kind of a passion. So that is the kind of passion you have to develop. And if you are concerned about the losses you will face, if you read my book, you will see that I had to face hundreds or thousands of losses before I could actually succeed. So whether how many times you have lost or what conditions you are facing in life, that is not important. Important is whether you will perish or whether you will prevail. That is the important part. And success is not crossing a finishing line. It is not about finishing. Success is about the attitude you carry. That is important. Yes, please.
Good evening, sir. Thank you, Ms. Srivastava.
Tell me.
So, you have shared every experience of your life. Can you share a specific moment which you will remember all your life of NDA?
Good evening, sir. CQMS Limaskan.
I got the question. You asked me, I've shared everything of my life. I have not shared everything. And second thing is that, yes, if you would want me to remember some important incident, there have been so many in NDA. Memorable one was when I received a letter from my girlfriend, but that won't carry that much significance. And one fine day I was kicked by the horse. I got a very rough horse and I was kicked on my eye and all my eyelid had got cut off. And I lost my memory for 2 days. I was unconscious and I woke up in the hospital and I asked my postmate what happened. So he said you had been kicked by a horse. And I said, which term is this? And he told me relax. So I discovered which term it was in the coming days. But I recovered within 1 month and I was back in training. So I did not lose much. So I carry that scar with me all the time.
Good evening, sir. CSM Bhagat Chandra, Quebec Squadron. Sir, during the course of lecture, you have said that playing safe is always choosing to lose. Sir, is it right everywhere or is it concerned to any situation? Can you please explain this?
Please sit down. See, nothing is a perfect truth in this world. Even the sun does not rise from east on every planet. And if you can fly faster than the earth is rotating, then the sun will rise from the west. So nothing is a perfect truth in this world. Something which appears to be rotating clockwise from this side is rotating anti-clockwise from the other side. You have to always see everything in context. But choosing to play safe is, in my, I would not, I remember the major difference, major rivalry that the Army cadets and the Air Force cadets used to share in 6th term. And they used to write quotes on the notice board to discourage the Army cadets. And some Air Force cadets had written that a quote by Chanakya, that the soldier who runs away today will live to fight tomorrow. So I had replied below it that the soldier who runs away today will again run away tomorrow. So the thing is, that's what I'm saying, the importance of your life, essence of your life is whether you can take the risks, whether you can take the tough decisions. That is important in your life. Next.
Good evening, sir. DC Harvinder Singh, Alpha Squadron. Sir, you said that your passion for your life drives you further, but there must be someone who is supporting you throughout, sir. Can you please tell about that person?
Yes. See, that's a very good question. But there are so many people who have supported me. My wife is there, my parents are there, my friends are there, my postmates are there. So many people who have supported me. But understand one thing. What's more important to understand? Nobody can support you to succeed. Success is something you have to achieve on your own. You cannot say that that person got the support so he was able to succeed. Sometimes people feel that, maybe he got the support, that's why he was able to succeed. You cannot do that. You have to always succeed on your own or on your own strengths. That is, you have to succeed yourself. People will always be there to support you, but it's important that you have the will to succeed, have it in you to succeed. That is more important. And how long people will stand by you. If you are a negative person, people will not. People can give you a pat, but then they'll walk away when they see that you don't have a positive attitude. So ultimately, it's your positive attitude. Your answers are in you. You have to find that. So whatever battle it is, always remember you have to fight your battles yourself. Again, reminded me of that talk I was giving to the soldiers, and one of them asked me, he was complaining that I had won so many medals and this and that, and now nobody cares for me. So see, whatever be the stage in your life, you won your medals when you were young. Now whatever stage in your life you are, you always have to fight your own battles. If somebody retires from cricket, that does not mean people will take care of him. If he cannot do anything after that, he cannot do anything after that. So ultimately you have to win your own battles. That is more important. Whatever stage of life you are in. That's the thing.
May I now request Rear Admiral Anand Iyer, Vishish Seva Medal, Deputy Commandant and Chief Instructor, National Defence Academy, to kindly come up on stage and felicitate our guest speaker.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
That means national anthem.
Sit down.